kingdom of heaven suffers violence. The violent take it by force. Now, don't be shocked that whilst you look around you and you see many people on the inside, many of the people on the inside are actually outsiders. There was a boy in his father's house who was an outsider, but he was inside the house. God has a heart for you. David was an outsider. When the king came to anoint him, he was nowhere to be found, that he thought he was one of the 7 predecessors or 7 older brothers, because they had left him on the outside because of the circumstances of his birth. Or Moses, another outsider. He was a Hebrew, but he had too much of an Egyptian accent that they didn't like him because he was on the outside. He didn't grow up with them. He wasn't black enough, or he wasn't white enough, or he wasn't Hebrew enough, because he'd been raised in the palace. They were outsiders. Mary from Magdala, another outsider. The woman at the well, an outsider. Zacchaeus, another outsider. Even Jesus himself was an outsider. And our case in point in our text, 4 lepers, outsiders. So my big question is who will God use to bring the miracle? The chaos is on, the calamity is rife, the catastrophe is burgeoning, and Samaria is moving faster and faster towards her demise. Her trajectory is clear. She's near the terminus, and the king is completely perplexed. What am I going to do about this? My country is dying. Her members, her society is falling apart. She's losing the limbs of her body. She's like a leper. Nigeria needs a miracle. Yeah. Who is God going to use for the miracle he needs for Nigeria? Who is God going to use for you? I'll tell you who. God is going to use the outsider, the outsiders. There are outsiders to Nigeria's political class, outsiders to Nigeria's political architecture, outsiders to Nigeria's political process that I believe God is supernaturally going to raise up and give them access to the mantle of the architecture of the supernatural interveners, that what men purpose to do, God will frustrate, that only what God has predetermined he will bring about will come to pass. God's going to use the unlikely. He's going to use the least likely to do the most mighty. Can I tell you the good thing about God? He takes the insider and puts him on the outside, but he takes the outsider after he's made the insider vacate the throne, and he puts the outsider on the throne and then puts a crown on his head. We are coming. There's a new generation arising. We do not belong to the insiders of the mainstream of what's ruling Nigeria today. We are outsiders. And insiders, note this carefully. This generation of people under the age of 35, they are very dangerous. You cannot overrun their mind or their will. Try your hardest, especially if you bring the country to the famine that is looming so large on the horizon of Nigeria. God, their God, he will arise and his enemies will be scattered. How dare you starve unborn Nigerians by borrowing their money from other nations and expecting unborn generations to pay back a debt that you're squandering on nonsense?